So we're going to introduce concept sketching. So this is going to be our first example, and you're going to work through this one with me, and then you're going to practice one more, hopefully, at least one more in class, and hopefully after that, for homework, you'll do one after that. The idea here behind concept sketching is that we are able to convey the main idea of an object. It does not have to look exactly like the object, but it should be close enough that the person looking at it understands what you're talking about. And so our example is going to be this item. Now, before I start drawing it, I want to make sure that scale comes into play here. So, in other words, I can take this bottle, and when I go to draw it, I don't have to draw it on my paper this tall. I probably am going to end up drawing it a little larger so that it fills more of the paper. I could also, if it was a very large object like a car or a truck or something, I could obviously draw it in a much smaller scale so that the truck fits here, so you can see what we're talking about. So how large you draw it is not dictated by how large the object is. So if you're given a small object to draw, you probably want to enlarge it, and if you're given a big object, you might want to make it smaller. The most crucial part, though, is this, and that is proportion. Regardless of how big or small you make it, the pieces need to be the same size compared to each other. So when I go to make this, the blue cap needs to be compared to this, say, this piece here, needs to be the same size. It needs to be, looks like about twice as tall, right? So I want to keep that sense of proportion. If I draw it and the blue cap is about as tall as the white part here is, that's not in proportion. It's not an accurate description of what's going on. And I'm going to, it's helpful to pick a piece of your drawing of your object to kind of use as your measuring stick. So I'm going to take a piece of scrap paper and I'm going to make this blue cap from the top of the blue cap to the bottom of the blue cap. I'm going to make that my scale, so to speak. So for example, this bottle from top to bottom is about one cap, two caps, three caps. It's almost exactly 4 of these caps tall. So this represents a 1/4 of the overall height. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to choose my overall height. All right, so on my paper, I'm going to say the top of my bottle is here. I'm going to say the bottom of my bottle might be down in here, although I'm going to decide. I'm going to use a little bit of logic here. I'm going to see if I can find, I'm going to use the squares on my paper to my advantage. And that is, I'm going to say, all right, I need whatever I decide here for this height of the object, I want to make sure that I can break it into 4 pieces evenly, because it turns out that that cap is a 1/4, so that would be easier. So let's see, let's count up how many I have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 10 to here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. About 10 to here, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. About 10 to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can I squeeze it in? I think I can. 8, 9, 10. So I'm actually going to make my bottle, and by the way, feel free to use the eraser, folks, and work in pencil. I'm going to say that my glue bottle here, I'm going to enlarge it. It's going to be bigger than its actual size. It's going to be this tall. And I find it helpful in this case, since to work from top to bottom and just get the proportion right. So if I know that, going back once again, that this cap, this is the length of the cap from here to here on my little piece of scrap paper, that there's one cap, and then from here to here would be the second cap long, and then another one, 3, and about one more, 4. There's 4 caps. So I'm going to make, if this is 40, from here to here, stands to reason that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That this is going to be where the cap is, and then another 10 is going to be an important point, so 3. Well, actually, we'll leave it at that. So this is going to be where the top tip of the cap is, and this will be where the very bottom of the cap is, right here to here. All right. So let's map out a few other things here. How big is this white piece right here compared to the cap? Now, it doesn't have to be exact, but we can estimate. So I'm thinking that looks about half. I can even mark it if I wanted, right? Let's see. Oops, sorry, she's moving away on me. So that's about half, all right? So this is going to be about 4 or 5 of my little squares here. So about half of the cap height. So we'll say, we'll put it here. That's fine. And then the shoulders, let's see, if this represents like 5 blocks, that's like 2 or 3. Down to the shoulder here, so we'll say 2, maybe another 2 from here to here. Maybe 3 for that one. So I'm going to mark off various heights of important points here. All right, next thing. How wide is my cap? At this base, how wide is it? Well, remember, on my little piece of scrap paper, from this corner to that line is the length of the cap, and on my paper, that represents 10 squares. From here, top tip to the end of the cap, and that means this is about, let's see, that's about half, a little more, I'd say 6 squares. So that cap is going to be right here, 6 squares wide. We'll go 3 on one side and 3 on the other. 6 squares there. And maybe just like that wide at the top. So this little piece right here. So it's going to go, and now we can kind of connect the dots. If I'm going to go from here to which represents this point, to the tip, let's see. It looks like I go up a little bit and then in, because that's this little lip. Then I go up at a slight angle to about maybe here, and then I bend in. This is where the sketching comes in. Is it exactly right? Maybe not. But is it close enough? Sure. And since there's all kinds of symmetry on this thing, in other words, this side here is going to do the same as this side over here, but just on the other side, I can sketch that in pretty easily. There and there. And by the way, if you don't like something, erase it. That's why they give us erasers. And so we have something that's starting to look like the top of a cap. But the key is proportion. I have some other details to fill in here. I have this little line that goes, I'll say right about here, where these ridges start for gripping and so forth. And so I can, if I'd like, put little lines in here. Now this is a sketch. Do I need to count every single one of these and see how many there are, these little ridges? No. Just something to give a feel that there are going to be ridges here. Something like that. Erase any little marks I would have made, and I've got the cap pretty much taken care of. Now we're going to go and work on this white piece here, which I've said is going to be about this tall, from here to here. And it's a little bit wider, so I maybe say from here to like here, and maybe thereabouts. Has a little bit of a curve to it here, so we're going to curve down, and then it's almost straight. So we'll say it goes like that. So curves, and the counter lines here. It's going to come down like this. Once again, if you draw a line and it doesn't look like the real thing, erase it. Do it again. I'm looking at this, it's not too bad. You can also be a little forgiving because it is called a concept sketch, not a, masterpiece. So I have that. I go across, got that, and back down here. And that looks pretty much like the cat. Not too bad at all. It's also got some ridges. So I put some lines in that represent those. And it also has, by the way, at the very bottom, it has a smooth section, so I should probably include that as well. And it looks like it sticks out a little bit as well, so we'll do that. There we go. Working our way down. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking maybe this cap's a little wide. If I really didn't like it, I'd erase it and make it a little narrower, but I'll live with it for now. Then comes the neck in here, which is narrower, and maybe in here, like so. It comes pretty much straight down, but not very far. Maybe right in there. Once again, if you drew this, and you look at it, and you go, well, no, wait, that doesn't make sense, this is too long. You know, you can reduce it and say, oh, you know, it's only about that long. Then there's these curved shoulder parts, I call them. So they're going to go out. Now we got to pick out how far apart the bottom. Let's do this. Let's use our cap. So if our cap is from, once again, from the corner to here, how wide is our entire bottle? Well, looks like it's maybe 1.5 caps over. So let's see, this was 10 blocks from here to here. So 1.5 of that is going to be about 15, we'll call it like 16 blocks to make it even. So we're going to, if this is the midline right here, if it's 16 blocks wide, we're going to want 8 on one side and 8 on the other. So I'm going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to about here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll make light lines. Now I know how wide the bottle is, and so from here, starting, that's right here where the neck meets these shoulders, and there down to there, maybe something like that. Let's see, right about in here. Just bend that down, and then I'll carry it straight down until I get to close to the bottom. And right at the bottom, there is a little bit of a curve here on the bottom, so we'll come down, and right here, we'll just curve it in a little bit. Come down, curve it in a little bit. I'm looking at it, it's not too bad. We might want to make it a little wider. I could, if I really thought it was too narrow, if I look at this and I say, you know, these are farther out compared to how wide this is, I could bring them out a little more. You know, we could do that as an example of what happens when you look at it and you're like, not quite. That's all right. Bring it out a little more if you think it should. And fix it up. That's fine. I'll bring it out about a block on either side. That's not bad. You can always erase and kind of do it again. A little more curved here, a little more curved here, and we're not doing too bad. I can put in some details if I like now. Let's see, there's a little bit of a thread in here. That's fine. There is, of course, the sticker on the front, so we can estimate roughly what that looks like. I'd say maybe like this. Now, if I'm doing a concept sketch, I don't need to write every one of these words just like they appear. The sticker's fine, and if you just want to kind of write in here, balsa and basswood. Okay, that looks a little ugly. At least I'll spread it out kind of like that does, so we'll go. Yeah, it works. Now, I'll get rid of some of these extra lines that were in there just to kind of figure things out. And clean that up a little bit. And then, after you've gotten to that point, the last step is going to be some shading. Shading doesn't have to be too complicated, but you do want to shade in such a way so that you kind of give a three-dimensional look to this. So the trick here is to imagine light coming from somewhere. Let's say light comes from, and I find it helpful to actually draw an imaginary light, flashlight or something up here. So light's coming from over here. Light's coming from on this side. That means this side over here is going to be darker. So I'm going to just shade in this side, all along this side, darker, particularly under this cap, because it's definitely not going to get light on this side, and so that cap is going to cast a shadow down here, and this side's going to be dark all the way down, and down here is going to be definitely dark because it's underneath of it and on that side. There'll be a little darkness underneath this edge. Let's see, this side of the cap will be darker. I can make some of those ridges look darker too, like so. This side of the cap will be darker. And make it a little lighter as you go around, and you'll be in good shape. And now you have some three-dimensional feel to it. Does not have to be perfect, but at least it has some feel to it. I might even make this a little shaded and then come across. Something like that. So now I've got some shading, I've got proportion looks good. I took my time, I counted the blocks, I made everything based on this cap. So you pick a feature of the object and kind of figure out how many blocks is that, and then measure everything on the object based on that one feature. The cap worked out nicely. Okay. If something doesn't look right, then redo it until you like it. Sometimes that's all you can do in sketching. Remember, it's a sketch. Some people will really struggle with this at times. The key is you keep trying, and that you're not just like, I can't do this, I can't draw. That's not really a way to go about doing this. You have the graph paper, you can figure out where things go, and then just kind of connect the dots, so to speak. Hopefully this helps. What you're going to do now is choose an object to draw that's at your table or at your desk, and draw that one as best you can. If you need help, talk to a friend, ask me or your other or teacher over, and we'll do what we can to get you started in the right direction here.